Hold that thought for just a second, Lance. It's time for another one-on-one segment. Eric's going to be going one-on-one with Alonzo Highsmith, former Miami Hurricane, Houston Oiler, now a
Let's
scout
get him in a
for the Packers.
linebacker drill or something.
Let's do that. A little
True one-on-one drill.
Hey, as we get ready for the one-on-one here, let's check out a video we pulled up, our crack research staff, from Alonzo's days at the U, including this infamous coin toss encounter with Brian Bosworth. Let's roll that video.
To this day, 95% of the questions I get from people around the country is, tell me about the fatigue game.
Miami and Penn State. And Friday night, both teams will leave their images at the gate when they battle for the national title in the Fiesta Bowl.
They get the images of the bad guys, and we got the good guys.
The Miami squad made noise the moment it reached Phoenix.
Somebody came up to me and said, hey, the players just got off the plane. They all had fatigues on.
Oh, my goodness. Did that start an uproar?
All week long, the players kept comparing this game to war.
This game is going to be a war, and we're going to be ready for it.
And ironically, the Canes are working out at the former practice site of the USFL's Arizona Outlaws.
We went to this thing called a
steak fry. Infamous steak fry.
They take us out to the steak dinner. It's totally redneck country type theme. The guys from Miami, they're just not their style.
And they were putting the players up on the stage. Kicker for Penn State got up and started saying a bunch of dumb jokes.
All their skits were remarks about University of Miami.
That was kind of racial undertones to that. Jerome Brown kind of found it offensive.
Racial slurs that they had, and plus saying the things about a coach, which kind of ticked everybody's off. They really didn't realize what they said, because all it did was pump our guys up a little more.
So Jerome Brown says, okay, I got this. Don't worry about it.
We didn't come here to act monkeys for everybody. We came here to play football, you know what I mean?
Yes, we do know what you mean, Jerome. This is defensive tackle Jerome Brown, number 98 in your program. All-American Jerome Brown is a team leader.
Did the Japanese go and sit down and have dinner with Pearl Harbor and Billy Bongo? Well, fellas, let's go.
And the Hurricanes split in just the latest instance of good sportsmanship, which has been reported far and wide in Sports Illustrated.
They were ready to leave, yes, I thought. In fact, I was ready to leave. I left right with them.
Just an attitude of belligerence and hostility and men at war, and it offended the community.
Thanks for taking the time, go on. Thanks for being here. Now, you started off in Florida. You've been in Houston a long time now.
I've been
here.
here.
You started off in Florida.
Yep.
Christopher Columbus High School.
Christopher Columbus High School.
What was that like growing up? I've seen Miami. I lived in Miami for 4 years, and it's such an interesting place. It's a melting pot. So many different people from so many different places. That's the 70s, though. You grew up in the 70s out there, right?
Well, the funniest thing is,
what was that like?
I did not move to Miami until my 10th grade year in high school.
Okay.
Yep. I grew up in Montreal, Canada.
I didn't know that.
My dad was an offensive lineman. He played pro football my whole life, and he was a coach my whole life. And we moved to Miami, Florida.
You speak French?
Je suis parle français très bien.
Yeah?
Yep, I spoke French and stuff like that. So Miami was a culture shock to me.
Wow.
When I arrived to Miami, Florida in 1981, the riots were going on. And then my mom put me, and then I ended up going to Christopher Columbus, which was an all-boys Catholic high school. And there were probably
a lot of great players that come out.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good players, and there were only 3 African Americans in the school. And in the high school I played for, Christopher Columbus High School, was in an all inner city district. Northwestern, Jackson, Miami Beach, Edison, all those schools. And
so they didn't care for you too much.
They didn't care for me, but I usually calmed it down after the first quarter. They called me every name before the game. Parents would line up. I heard every name. Hey, and my coach would always say, when he starts crying, tears coming out of his eyes, they're in trouble. He's going to get them that day. So finally the kids will start telling their parents, Mom, leave him alone. Don't say anything, because he takes it out on us on the field. But Miami is a tremendous city. It's a different city.
It is.
A lot of culture, very diversified. All types of people. It's a great city.
I found it a neat place. I thought it was just was like a civics lesson.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day you learn something new about somebody.
You learn something new. And when I went to Miami, I grew, so people always thought from high school to college to Miami, I must have grown up in Miami. I was there from age.
Yeah.
You know, I was from Florida, in Bartow, Florida. My dad went to Florida A&M, him and my mom, but my dad moved around a lot coaching and football, so we moved around. But we always knew we would come back to Florida one day, and we ended up in Miami.
So Christopher Columbus now, and then you were a big recruit coming out of high school, and you were one of those first guys that took Howard Stellenberger up on his offer.
Yep.
He was trying to keep up until that point, a lot of the Miami guys left.
No,
they went to Florida State, they went to the SEC, they went everywhere.
They went everywhere.
Everywhere but Miami.
Yep.
And Schnellenberger came in there and said, I want to keep all these guys here.
Miami always had some great players, but it was they'd only get one.
Sure.
You know, they had O.J. Anderson, they had Ted Hendricks, they had so many guys, Burgess Owens, over the years, but they were never able to keep a group of highly touted kids from Miami in Miami. So when myself and Melvin Bratton and all these other guys all committed to Miami, you know, it kind of everyone was like, man, what's going on down there? And then when you win a national championship your freshman year, now everyone in Miami says, okay, it's a cool place to be.
That's where I want to be.
You know, that's where I want to be. And then it wasn't started
But up
by
until
me.
'83, it was still tough sledding.
Oh, yeah, it was tough
I mean,
sledding.
a lot of people forget that you came in right around when Jim Kelly came in, right?
No, I
Little
came
after?
in. I was a little bit after Jim.
Little
Kelly.
after, and then you end up winning. You go from unranked to win the national championship in 1983.
In 1983.
That had to be the biggest whirlwind of a season.
Oh, for me, because at that time, and for me in 1983, I was one of the most highly recruited kids in the nation. You know, you make all that stuff, and college coaches were telling my mother, if he goes to Miami, he'll never play in a bowl game.
I know how that goes.
He'll never play on television.
You go to Miami, you'll never get out of
Yeah,
there. You know?
yeah, and that's what they told my mom. My mom had always envisioned me going to Notre Dame, Michigan.
Sure.
When I visited Michigan, it was a snowstorm. I was like, I am not coming back here.
You got used to the snow in Montreal, though, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't want to live. After I've been in Miami for 3 years, I was like, okay, no more snow. And then I visited Florida State, and I was like, okay, I'm done visiting. I'm staying in the state of Florida, and hate the Gators. Seminoles are okay. They're friends.
We all seem like we have a.
Well, why is that?
I think it's a respect.
That's what it is. We
I think it's like
them.
we respect. Like, hey, we understand what to do. You still want to see them lose all the time. You still want to get after them. But I don't think there's any respect for Florida.
None.
And nobody. If you ask Florida State people, they'll say the same thing. Yeah, the Miami guys are all right.
You
know, they're all right. We respect them.
And you know what the weird thing about it is? It's no matter what generation of Miami players.
They all hate Florida.
They all hate Florida.
All hate Florida.
And they say the exact same thing you just said.
Everything.
Florida State is all right with Miami.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. Pablo Lopez was an offensive tackle who would have been a first-round draft pick out of South Miami. And he was from Miami, went to South Miami High School. We were all day together, all stayed together, and he played at Florida State. And when he died in Miami, our football team, we all went to the funeral.
Sure.
And Bobby Bowden was kind of shocked. We gave him a game ball signed by Miami, all the players and stuff like that. And that's kind of the respect Miami, Florida State, and Miami had. The Gators, oh, we hate those Gators. There's nothing.
Can't stand it.
No, nothing like about the
Can't
Gators.
stand
There's nothing.
Can't stand them. So now you finally get to Houston. You get the third pick of the draft. Houston Oilers take you. And what was your initial impressions of Houston when you came here? I think the climate's a lot like Miami.
Yeah.
But what was your initial? You probably never been here before.
Never been here. And you know what? It was funny because the national media perception of Houston, Texas, from around the country, even to this day, they swear it's a bunch of people riding around in
it's amazing,
stagecoach.
Do you have a rifle? Do you have how many horses do you have?
I get asked some of the weirdest questions by people. And you know what though? And the subliminal messages about Texas, when you watch commercials,
sure, absolutely.
Ford truck.
Everybody has cowboy hats on, Wranglers.
Wrangler jeans. I don't even own a cowboy
My
hat.
in-laws are all in Boston, and they're like, we thought you were going to be so much different. You know?
Exactly. And I get this all the time, but I love Houston. It is a tremendous
I think it's a great place to live.
A great place to live.
Fantastic place to live.
It's a very diverse city.
Very.
Best food in America.
Great restaurants, cheap living.
Cheap living.
Bang for your buck.
Yep.
You're not a lot to do when you bring people come in to visit. It's like, where do you go? You can go to the Galleria or
something. Go to a couple of ice houses.
Now your football career ends prematurely.
Yeah.
Banged up your knee. Yeah. But that didn't stop you, and I didn't really know this about you, that didn't stop the athletic aspirations.
No,
you turned into a boxer.
Oh yeah, I always wanted to box growing up.
And you're 27-1.
Yeah, 27-1-1, and I always thought I was kind of wacky like that. I always thought I was a tough guy. So I said, let me go box. But you know what though, it was a fun experience. But the first opportunity I had to get out of it, I got out. I mean, I liked it, but it was a learning experience in life, and something that I went through was fun.
So you stayed here, obviously. Now, did you immediately? When did you become? How was your? I guess in the front office part. How was that transition for you?
I've been in Green Bay since 1998, and
were you somewhere before that, or is
nope,
that where you started?
Nope, I just started in Green Bay by chance. Sean Jones, played for the Packers with Ron Wolf there, and then Ron Wolf said, I need another scout in your area who lives in Texas, maybe a former player.
Sure.
So he said, hey, I know Alonzo Highsmith. He loves football. He always talks about football. Yeah. So I went in for the interview and got the job, and I've been there ever since.
You've been there ever since.
Yeah.
Now, when I first heard about it, I got to tell you a story. The first time I ever heard your name, Art Keogh, the famous offensive line coach from Miami, he said all the guys he's ever coached, been around, he said that you were the toughest one. He said you're the toughest one. He was talking about that. He was talking about that Penn State game, I think, we were just talking about. And you were in tears after that game because you knew that you guys let us. It was much like our Fiesta Bowl. You knew that you let a chance to win a national championship slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I was like, I got to find out who this Alonzo Highsmith guy is. Keogh talks. He must be unbelievable. We're wrapping this up, and I always ask everybody this: where do you see yourself in 5 years? Are you trying to get up the ladder? Are you happy just being the area scout, being that? Do you have aspirations of running a club?
Here's my aspirations. I've never done anything in life half speed, and life has always been a challenge to me. I always want to be the best at what I do, whatever it is. I want to try and work harder than everybody.
Sure.
I want to out try and work everybody, and I used to be shy to say it, but I think my goal one day is to be a general manager. I think I have a lot to offer a team and contribute to a team, and I've won my whole life everywhere I've been. I've won everywhere at every level. Pop Warner, high school state championships, college, and I've just I think that I know what it takes to win.
Sure.
I've been around winners my whole life, and I think that's part of your resume of what you bring to a team or bring to a company, whoever you are. You have to bring some type of resume with you, and I can look back on my resume and say it's probably winning.
Yeah,
won everywhere I've been.
You can hire my brother.
Me and him are good. We're gonna ride together.
There you go.
Hey, one day we'll be. Hey,
there you go.
Maybe
I'll come along for the ride.
You come along with us. We'll put you in the back seat.
All right. Thanks for going one-on-one.
All right.
In high school, Alonzo Highsmith was one of the top defensive players in the nation. But when Highsmith arrived at the University of Miami, head coach Howard Schnellenberger had other plans for his prize recruit.
He was a fine defensive football player for Christopher Columbus High School and won all-state honors at that position. And it took me a long time to convince him that he could make a major contribution to our football team at the fullback position. I remember that the first time I suggested it to him, he said no, he was a defensive player. The second time I suggested it to him, he said he would prefer to play defense, and he thought he could do a lot for us at defense. But finally, when I said to him, Alonzo, by playing fullback, you would help this football team a great deal. And his answer then was, well, Coach, if it's going to help the football team, that's what I want to do.
Right up the gut. Alonzo Highsmith, the freshman from Miami, goes for 18 yards and yet
Highsmith rushed for a team-high 50 yards in Miami's national championship victory over Nebraska, the beginning of what would be a great Hurricanes career.
I guess when we play Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl against the Bars and the crew, and just to see the coin toss, just to see the intensity in those guys' eyes. I think it was our captains were Jerome Brown, Winston Moss, and Alonzo Highsmith, and the intensity that those guys had at the pregame toss, never forget it.
Highsmith was the 3rd selection overall in the 1987 NFL Draft and played 5 years with the Houston Oilers and the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, you know.
Alonzo Highsmith, Jerome Brown. Who's the third guy out
Winston
there?
Moss. He's a coach at. He's linebacker coach at Green Bay, assistant head coach.
Right. Love it. Great stuff from the old days, the Canes.
I feel old now. As a matter of fact, I told my friends when I moved to a different town, I'm dyeing my hair. You'll never know.